Hi, this is KimMeWyatt, and I have an important message for you before you continue. No portion of Now That's What I'm Talking About, also known as NT-WITA, broadcast, podcast, videos, pictures, or any other NT-WITA related materials, including but not limited to Ask Kimzilla, Raw, Real Adult World, Kimmy's Quotes, and other text content may be downloaded, reproduced, copied, edited, posted, or shared on social media sites or any other website, saved to media, including but not limited to cameras, cell phones, computer hard drives, embedded in websites, including links, even if the ability to embed is available, used for entertainment purposes or for any other reason without my expressed written consent. Whew. For various considerations, please send your request to ntwita@outlook.com. That's ntwita@outlook.com. All music has been approved for use via the ASCAP license owned by the individual, entity, or radio station. Enjoy, and thanks for supporting NT-WITA. I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
I love you.
Babe, I love you so. I want you to know that I'm gonna miss your love the minute you walk out that door. So please don't go. Don't go. Don't go away. Please don't go. Don't go. I'm begging you to stay. nothing in the world that I won't do. I'll give the word to you if you want me to. I'll do anything. I've nothing in the world that I won't do. I'll give the word to you if you want me to. I'll do anything.
They'll never see the things you do for me, the way you make me strong whenever things go wrong. When you stand by my side, how you relax my mind and show me what to do to make my dreams come true. Anything you want me to, there's nothing in this world that I won't do. I have inside, I will no longer hide, because I trust in you. Stay right by my side, cause you relax my mind and show me what to do to make my dreams come true. There's nothing in this world that I won't do.
Do anything. Nothing in the world that I won't do. I give the word to you if you want me to. I'll do anything.
I do
listen to everyone but me, but me, but me. I said I loved you, darling, but you were blind. Can't you see, girl? I didn't wanna cry at the time, but you really blew my mind. Oh, what about me? Everybody said you were a lovely bride, but I didn't see no, because you weren't standing there beside me. Beside me. Hey, I didn't wanna cry at the time, but you really blew my mind. Oh, what about me? Oh, what about me?
My loss was another man's gain. But when you said I do, hey, girl, I only wish to God that it was I who was standing right there beside you.
Girl, I didn't wanna cry at the time, but you really blew my mind. Oh, what about me? Hey girl, what about me? Oh, hey girl, what about me? Hey girl, what about me? What about me?
Now that's what I'm talking about.
Seen her from the crowd, dancing on a cloud, making my heart move with every turn. Then she presses in, whispers in my ear. My body melts between these lines. I wish I would stop dreaming, dreaming, dreaming. Too close to real, I'm dreaming. In her loving arms, we both take a star, right into a seraphim song. Feels so good to be in her symphony, just to play a part in her world.
I love that song. Hey, I'm KimMe. Welcome to the show. Hey! And today I am doing a show. I get asked all the time about what do I do to stay so young looking. And it's just dawning on me in my older age that I do look pretty young, because I keep getting people asking me that all the time, or they'll comment on my age or whatever. And so this particular show today is focusing on things that I think keeps me young looking. But I have to interject myself. I did a podcast on something that I had coming up, and I wanted to keep it a secret, so I did a podcast on it and I posted it. And the secret was that I would be promoting adult novelties or adult toys. I used to sell them on and off, yada yada yada, and I mentioned that in the podcast. And I played a song within that podcast by an artist from Texas by the name of Yacha. Now, let me interject myself. I don't know if Yacha is like born and raised in Texas, but I do know that he lives in Texas and lived in Texas. So I'm assuming that he was born here, and that's kind of what I heard. But I don't want to say that he could have been actually born somewhere else and then came to Texas. But I seriously doubt that. But in the meantime, the name of the song was Finna Be On. And I mentioned in the podcast that if you're from Texas, you're going to say finna. We don't say fixing. We don't say fixin', we say finna, F-I-N-N-A. That's the biggest lie in the world. I say fixing all the time, and I'm like, why would you say that? Because at the time, we do say fixing. Well, let me back up. At the time when I was listening to the song and I was commenting on him saying finna, we do say finna, F-I-N-N-A. I'm finna do this, I'm finna do that. But in actuality, that I also mentioned that that's all basically people got the perception, or I gave the impression that that's all that we say, and it's not true, because I say the actual word fixing, F-I-X-I-N-G, all the time. And I kind of listen to myself, and I've been listening to myself since I did that podcast, and I'm like, that's not true. We say fixing all the time. And so we say in Texas, in the South, and I'm sure, like I said, other places in the South, finna, F-I-N-N-A, fixin', F-I-X-I-N without the G, and of course fixing, which we use basically 50% of the time. So it just kind of depends on what we're saying. And I've noticed that, and I've listened to other people saying the word fixing, and I'm like, okay, we say finna, but we don't say it as often as I gave the impression that we do. So I had to interject myself, or correct that rather. But moving right along, I want to welcome to the show someone who seems to be sticking around for every show I do, and her name is Mrs. Chipmunk. And how are you doing, Mrs. Chipmunk?
Hello, KimMe.
Are there any beauty secrets or regimens you follow to keep yourself looking fantabulous, as you do?
I have some that I will share during the show, KimMe.
Wow. Well, myself and the audience, we can't wait to hear what your beauty secrets are. I'm about hearing what you do to actually keep yourself healthy and happier and sexy in the fur world, in the animal kingdom, the animal world. This is going to be exciting. So anyway, you guys, before we get into that, we're going to get into this, Mrs. Chipmunk and I. And when we come back, I will get started on the 16 things that I came up with. Count them, 16 things I think helps me to live a healthier, happier, and younger looking lifestyle. So we'll be right back. Can you say we'll be right back, Mrs. Chipmunk?
We'll be right back.
You guys, I'm going to play a song right now that is so sentimental to me. When I first got introduced to Anita Baker, this is the first song that I sang by her, my own little concerts, and my ex-best friend was like, wow, you sound just like Anita Baker. And I used to sing Two Different Guys to Sleep. Two different guys I dated, I'm serious, at two different times, who would literally not get off the phone unless I sang Anita Baker. And if I hung the phone up on them because I refused to sing it, they would call me back and like, okay, I'm not, getting off the phone with you until you sing Anita Baker. And I was like, oh my God. So I literally had to sing Anita Baker to sing Two Different Guys to Sleep. And then another guy that was trying to date me, He obviously thought I was one of those old school jukeboxes, you know, the jukebox where you put the quarter in. Because this dude, I would sing a song. Okay, I've sang that song. That's it. And he would request another song. And I could have got rich off of him. Here is Anita Baker's Sometimes. I hope you enjoy it. I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
Everybody wants to be a winner and take the place at the top. Everyone wants the name up in lights for a good time, never to stop. Sometimes the bad luck will creep up and catch you by surprise. Your mind's confused, you feel misused. You gotta leave those troubles behind. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Sometimes you wanna cry, sometimes you play the fool. On a little longer, try to be a little stronger, and you can win, and everything's gonna be yours. When you cry, the whole world laughs at you. They don't seem to understand, but the time will come when the tables turn, and you're gonna have the winning hand. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Sometimes you wanna cry, sometimes you play the fool. You gotta way that I'm loving you, yeah. You know how to love me. You know how to make it right and real. You know how to love me. No doubt about it. As morning light. Nothing's forever. That's what people say. But each time
Yeah. Oh, baby. Hang in there, baby. Gonna make love tonight. Don't be afraid. That'll make it alright. I know just how you feel. Gonna hold you tight. But we've almost got it made. Now that we've caressed, a kiss so warm and tender, I can't wait till we reach that sweet moment of surrender. We'll hear the thunder roar, feel the lightning strike, and what we both decided to meet, same time tonight. Hang on in there, baby. Hang on in there, darling. I'm gonna give you more than you've ever dreamed possible. Don't be afraid, baby. Oh no, a sweet virgin of the world. We can't help but make it, 'cause there's true love between us, girl. So let us touch that crowd that every girl dreams of. Oh, we're almost there, darling. We're truly making love. Hang on in there, baby. Please don't let me down. Please don't destroy this new joy we found. What's that now, baby? What's that you say? Something's eating at you and it's about to get away. Oh, don't fight, baby. Open up the door, 'cause that's the key to the freedom that we've both been working for. Let it go, baby. Let it go, honey. Oh, right there, right there. Baby, don't you move it anywhere. Go, baby. Let it go, honey. Oh, right there. Baby, don't you move it, don't you dare. Hang on in there, baby. Oh, hang on, baby. Oh, hang on down. Gonna give you more. Let it go. Hang on, sweet baby. Don't let me down.
That's what I'm talking about.
Really, really. Thank God Almighty, really. I'm alright, 'cause you're here tonight. Thank God Almighty, everything's alright. It's been a long, long climb. Glad we made it over. Can't stop myself from crying. Feeling all wrapped up in clothes. I can sing my song if you don't do me wrong. Thank God Almighty, you're where you belong. I can sing my song before too long. Thank God Almighty, sing my song. Pain we can defeat. Listen, baby. thinking what you said to me last night, and I know what you want.
Sometimes in the night I call your name, then I catch myself from falling. Where there's love, sometimes there's pain. Still my love is growing, so please be gentle. Please be gentle when you're loving me.
I'll be gentle. I'm in a daze, I'm so confused. Since you have stopped running, I'll take my time, I'll wait for you, 'cause I know you'll be coming. I'll be gentle. Baby, I'm gonna be gentle when I'm loving you. When I'm loving you. When I'm loving you. Wanting to please you.
You're lying next to me.
Baby girl, you got me calling your name, baby. I'll be gentle.
Please be very gentle.
When I'm loving you. When I'm loving you.
When I'm loving you,
Holding you.
wanting to please you.
When you're lying next to me.
Baby, you got me calling, calling out your name.
Hey, you got me calling, calling, calling your name. You got me calling down on my bended knees, and I'm calling your name, calling your name, calling, calling, calling your name, calling, calling, calling your whole name. I don't ever wanna stop loving you, girl, so don't you ever stop being in my world. I'm in a daze, I'm so confused. Since you have stopped running, I'll take my time, I'll wait for you, 'cause I know you'll be coming. I'll be gentle. Baby, I'm gonna be gentle when I'm loving you. When I'm loving you. When I'm loving you. Wanting to please you.
You're lying next to me.
Baby girl, you got me calling your name, baby. I'll be gentle.
Please be very gentle.
When I'm loving you. When I'm loving you. I don't ever wanna stop loving you, girl, so don't you ever stop being in my world.
I don't ever wanna quit loving you, boy, so don't you ever stop giving me joy.
I don't ever wanna stop loving you, girl, so don't you ever stop being in my world. I don't ever wanna stop loving you, girl, so don't you ever stop being in my world. I don't ever wanna stop loving you, girl, so don't you ever stop being in my world. I don't ever wanna stop loving you, girl, so don't you ever stop being in my world. You want me to be a little more affectionate, but baby, I want the same things too. I love it when we make love. I think we get along really well. Everything is oh so mellow. When the lights are down low, and we're just holding each other so tight. When you get good to us, you call out my name, oh so gentle. It feels oh so good. I don't ever want you to stop. It's so nice, gentle, calling out your name.
Sometimes at night I call your name, then I catch myself from falling. Where there is love, sometimes there's pain. Still my love's growing, so please be gentle. Please be gentle when you're loving me. Boy, she meant that, didn't she? You guys remember that song? I know you do, from either high school or junior high for some of you guys, for the younger heads that's on here. And do you guys remember boning? That's when the man would get between, or your boyfriend would get between your legs, and you would have simulated sex. And back then you didn't have to do anything, for things to happen. I wish we can go back to those days. Welcome back to the show. This is Now That's What I'm Talking About, also known as NT Witta. I'm KimMe, and we also have in the studio Mrs. Chipmunk. Say hello, Mrs. Chipmunk.
Hello, KimMe.
Are you ready to reveal your beauty secrets?
I'm ready, KimMe.
Okay, girl, let's get started. Well, as I mentioned before the break, people get shocked all the time when they find out my actual age, or my age. They'll say, oh my God, or they'll step back. It's been happening for years now. And I get compliments all the time when people do find out my age, stating that, oh, you look so young, wow, and all kinds of things. And it never dawned on me until here recently, like, what do I really do to stay younger looking? I've never had a regimen. I've never, well, per se, so I thought I would come up with the things that I do that I think helps to keep me younger looking, happier, and living a healthy, younger looking lifestyle. And so I said I'm going to share this with the audience, the NT Witta audience, and maybe help some other people out with some issues they may have with their age or whatever. So here we go. And I do have to interject myself. There was a time when I didn't even tell people my age, and I started that at the age of 19 when I dated a guy from out of town, from a different state actually, who was in the military. And when he found out my age, we were both young. I had just turned 19, and I think he was 20. And he found out my age. He came down for my birthday, found out my age because I left my identification on the bathroom counter. And we had a wonderful relationship prior to that. But when he found out my age, everything changed. And the reason for that, asking him about it, was because he thought that I was an older woman, and it had nothing to do with my looks. It was because I was well established. I had my own place, I had a really good job, and yada yada yada. And he just thought, very mature. He just thought I was older, and he was attracted to older women. So from that point, our relationship just went down. And so I decided at the age of 19 that I would never tell anyone my age, because age, back in the day, I thought, and I somewhat think it's still true, people will judge you according to your age, whether they want to realize it or believe it or not. And so I never told anyone my age. I'm going to tell you, it was like, it was over 21 years or something like that before I started back telling people my age. It really gets really funny. As a matter of fact, about 3 weeks ago, I was out with a guy friend of mine who's much older than I am, and we were sitting across from each other, and in the middle of my sentence he says, "You look like you are 20 something years old." And funny thing is, when we go out to places, it never fails. People will stare at us as if we're as if they're saying, "Look at that dirty old man with that young woman." Not just one person, you guys. I'm talking, we can go to one place and people, couples, especially couples, will stare at us, and we laugh about it all the time. And also younger guys will get around us and either try to talk loud or roll their eyes at him because they think that he's taking one of their women, a younger chick, or whatever, and they'll get jealous hearted about it. But I say, hey, treat your woman right and you will not have to have those problems. How about that? So anyway, let's get started. I told you guys before that I found on a Facebook post that I found 3 hairs, count them, 3 gray hairs in my head about 8 years ago, or on my head about 8 years ago. And honey, I plan to keep those 3 hairs, and I vowed I would keep them, and I've kept that promise. Only thing is, I've been trying to find out who did I let give me those 3 gray hairs, I don't know who it was or what happened in my life, but I got them, and you're gonna get them. But I vowed, over 8 years ago that I would not get any more gray hairs, and I have since kept that promise. So here we go. I have compiled a list of 16 reasons why I think I look so young. I must say, once again, this information is for entertainment purposes only, and to please consult your doctor before trying any of these suggestions or opinions or whatever. And they are in no particular order. Okay, number 1, and like I said, they're in no particular order: stress. No stress. People, please stay out of other people's business. I cannot stress enough the power of no stress and staying out of other people's business. And don't let anyone get in yours. Tell people what you want them to know, and what you don't want them to know, don't tell it. And don't let anyone get in your business, and be careful about who you ask for opinions. If you're that type of person. I'm somewhat of a leader, I feel, so I don't go around asking people for their opinions, and it's a rarity that I do. And if I ask you for your opinion, I really, really, really need it. So be careful of that. Stress, and I will say, even though these are in no particular order, stress would be my number 1, and then the other 15 are in no particular order. I just don't get in other people's business. I think it's just ludicrous that we spend so much time being opinionated about someone else's business, and I am very opinionated, but I'm usually opinionated about my business. I don't go around saying such and such and such and such, and if I say an opinion, that's it, that's the end of it. I'm not elaborating, and what I'm saying, just really, really taking it to a level where I'm being a busybody for lack of words. So stress would probably would be my number 1 if I had to put these in any particular order. Stop being nosy and getting in people's business. Mind your own dang on business, people. And that's it. And if I had to stop it right here, I would stop it right here. I have to say, I think stress is my number 1. No stress, rather, is the number 1 thing that keeps me younger looking, because when you're worrying about other people's business and not focusing on your own, or also worrying about your own business, how can you get anything done? Really, really. Okay, number 2 is water. I hear people all the time saying, I don't drink water, I don't like water, blah, 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 blah. Why do you think God put it on this earth? You need to drink water, and plenty of it. I know it's always been stated that you need to drink 8 glasses of water a day, but I think they've upped that to 8 to 10 glasses of water a day. And keep in mind, we're talking what 8 ounces. Really, that's not a lot. And if you don't like water, get a straw and sip it throughout the day, but making sure that you get at least 8 glasses of water. Now, I have to say that not drinking water, for those of you who get constipated all of the time, you have to realize that water will cause not having enough water will cause constipation, and it will take your body about 2 to 3 days once you start back drinking water or start drinking water to get back to normal. And so be very careful with that, because I will elaborate on the next one why it is very critical that you not get constipated and that you do continue to have a bowel movement. So another thing that I do with water, I've never been able to eat sweets. I don't care what it is. It could be a Snicker, anything. I've never been able to eat sweets without drinking water with it, as I'm eating it. And I will say, even though these are in no particular order, I think that is number two would be my number two, is that I do drink as far as my weight. I'm going to talk about everything. I'm not just going to talk about age. I'm just 16 things that I think keeps me young looking. And so I'm going to talk about health as well. And as well as body, and skin. So, yeah. So water with the sweets. Drink water with your sweets. If you're eating a piece of apple pie, drink water with it, not soda, which will take the taste away anyway. But drink water. Speaking of soda, I have not, I said I'm looking like, wait a minute, I said there were 16 things, but you know what? Goodness gracious. Soda. I do not drink soda. There's 17 things, you guys. I don't drink soda. I haven't had a soda. Let me back up. I'm lying. I have had a sip of soda by accident. And I say sips because I went to 2 different times over the last 7 or 8 years, which is really the last time I had soda, drinking it on my own, like I wanted. But I had sodas twice about 4 or 5 years ago, going through 2 different drive-thrus and asking for water. And what they will do is, the people before you, they didn't get their soda or whatever, so they'll say, oh, well, let me give this to this person, me. And it would be Sprite or 7-Up. And so you put your straw in, and then you're drinking like, oh my God, this is soda, and it would be clear, like I said, like water. Or maybe they thought it was the water, but I think it was the people before, that didn't get their drink. And so they'll give it to you. So that's 17 things. That would be number 3 on my list. And I don't drink soda. Soda will cause all kinds of things, in my opinion. These are my opinions, like diabetes, and it will definitely cause you to gain weight. Sorry. And a lot of people drink the diet sodas, and they think, oh, just leave sodas alone altogether, okay? Just be a happy person not drinking soda. Okay, the 4th thing is fiber. Oh my goodness. Fiber. When you go down the health aisle in the grocery store and you see things like, I don't want to throw out any name brands, but you see things like fiber tablets, or you see fiber in like a big canister, plastic canister. You need to get some, okay? Fiber. Let me tell you the benefits of fiber. I talked a little earlier, or a little bit ago, about constipation. Fiber is going to help you with constipation and bowel movements. And the reason why you want to have a regular bowel movement is because fiber can lower your blood sugar. It cuts cholesterol, and it prevents colon cancer. Now, I will say it helps to prevent colon cancer. It is also, like, for instance, it's excellent for, regulating your bowels, and you are supposed to have at least three bowels a day, 3 bowel movements a day, 2 if you're lucky. Okay, so when you have regular bowel movements, you have more energy because you've removed these toxins from your body, and toxins are what makes us have fatigue, irritability, bumps on your skin. All of these different things are because you have all of these toxins in your body in the form of bowel movement that's been sitting there for 3 weeks. For some people, I'm telling you, some people do not have a bowel movement but once a month. if that. And if that's happening to you, you really need to consult a doctor if you haven't, because you are killing yourself, okay? So getting rid of fecal matter also helps to either maintain your weight or lose weight. So water soluble fiber stabilizes blood glucose. Once again, it helps us absorb the nutrients in our food better. It also comes in like a regular flavor or no flavor, regular flavor, which is no flavor, or an orange flavor, which is the one I choose. And I sometimes, what I do normally is I put a couple of tablespoons, not teaspoons, but I mean, if that's all you have, just double it up. But I put a couple of tablespoons in a glass of water and I drink it. And so with fiber, and you can also use regular fiber in some of your recipes, you know, if you would like. But be careful because using it in recipes, because fiber does expand once it's been exposed to liquid. So it will expand, and that's the water soluble fiber. But I put a couple of teaspoons in a glass of water and I drink it immediately, because if you don't, once again, it expands and it will settle at the bottom and you'll have this big glob of jelly-like stuff. But, you know, hey, if that happens, just drink it. Okay, the fourth thing, or let me see, what would that be? This would be the fifth thing. Flaxseed, just like fiber, flaxseed, Flaxseed. Flaxseed is another form of fiber, and it has lots of B vitamins, manganese and magnesium, and it is also an excellent antioxidant with omega-3 fatty acids, which helps against and of all kinds of different things, and it's also low in carbohydrates. So flaxseed helps to regulate your bowels as well, which I think is essential for healthy weight loss and maintenance, like I said. And it is one of the highest, if not the highest, fiber-rich foods, and extremely high in antioxidants, as I said, you know. So this power food will help you balance your female hormones, for the females who are listening to this, and it helps to prevent premenopausal symptoms, and it aids in preventing breast cancer and type 2 diabetes. I chew whole flax seeds. They're little bitty seeds that kind of have a nutty taste to it. And so throughout the day, I haven't had any, admittingly, like 3 weeks. But these are things that I do. You know, you're probably saying 3 weeks, that's a long time. Really, not really so, because my body is already regulated. But I do take flaxseed and I chew them, the whole flax seeds, right from the package or the box. But you can also incorporate ground flax seeds into your muffin, cookie, and bread recipes. I also put a tablespoon or two in my rice, grits, you know, anything like that. And remember, they have to be ground or chewed in order to reap the benefits, because they will just pass through your body if they're not chewed or ground, because they're, you know, they have a hard outer shell. A little, you know, it's a chewable outer shell, but they have a hard outer shell that, you know, that you have to chew or ground in order to reap the benefits. Now, this is a warning, if you take flaxseed, start out with small amounts, because like I said, it does help with bowel movements. And if you have like irritable bowel syndrome or something like that, you just stay around a bathroom if you take them. And I have to tell you, once you regulate your body with fiber and flaxseed, you're gonna know basically when it's time for you to go, or you're gonna feel the urge to go to the restrooms, just as you would if you were not taking them. So it's just that when you start taking them, to, you know, make sure that you're around a restroom, because your body, you may be one of those people who do not have a bowel movement but every, 2, 3, or 4 weeks, and so you're going to be like, oh, I'm not going to have a bowel movement, and then bam, you're in the store shopping for sexy shoes, and you have to find a restroom. So I'm just letting you know. So with that being said, I'm going to take a break, and I'm going to play some more sexy music for you guys, because as you know, I gotta tell you, I'm so excited. You know, someone says, I love to hear you say that, and I love to say it, partner. So I'll be right back. Thank you for joining the show. See you in a minute.
Testing. Your love takes me higher than I've ever been before. Keep on, get off, darling. Shangri-La. Orange marmalade, chocolate coated candy kisses. When my castle smiles, my heart beats and then it misses. Can I break it down in your corner? Love will find you, love will blind you. So take me with you, baby. Satisfaction and plenty of good times for you only. But don't be lonely. I'm gonna take you over down by the sea, where the sand meets the Shangri-La. We can make some more pretty memories under the stars, where I've been for Shangri-La. And your Milky Way is so heavenly, heaven here on earth. Oh, my fortune implores you. Never set me free, simply set me, I adore you. You give me, baby, ice cream, sandwiches. Shall we hold me so close? Yeah, yeah. Serving Beaujolais to your love, I make the first toast. Can I break it down in your corner? Love will find you, love will blind you. So take me with you, baby. Satisfaction and plenty of good times for you only. But don't be lonely. I'm gonna take you down by the sea, where the sand meets the Shangri-La. We can make some more pretty memories under the stars, where I've been for Shangri-La. And your Milky Way is so heavenly, me with your touch.
Everybody needs a little time away, I heard her say, from each other. Even lovers need a holiday, far away from each other. Hold me now. It's hard for me to say I'm sorry. I just want you to stay. After all that we've been through, I will make it up to you. I promise to. And after all that's been said and done, you're just a part of me I can't let go. Couldn't stand to be kept away just for the day from your body. Wouldn't wanna be I'm sorry. I just want you to know. Hold me now. I really wanna tell you I'm sorry. I could never let you go. After all that we've been through, I will make it up to you. I promise to. And after all that's been said and done, you're just a part of me I can't let go. After all that we've been through, I will make it up to you. I promise to. You're gonna be the lucky one. Everybody keep it, keep it, keep it, keep it. Keep it.
This is KimMe of Now That's What I'm Talking About, also known as NT Witta, and you just heard Mrs. Joan Osborne's cover of I'll Be There, originally by Al Green. I love the way she does that song. She did it justice. Joining me in the studio is Mrs. Chipmunk. Say hello, Mrs. Chipmunk.
Hello, Kimmy. Hello, everybody.
Today, Mrs. Chipmunk and I are sharing our beauty secrets, specifically I'm sharing a 16, formerly 16, now 17 things that I think keeps me looking young, because I get compliments all the time on how young I look. And so it never dawned on me before, except for over the last couple of years, I'm doing something. And so I came up with 16, 17 during the show. I came up with at the beginning of the show, I thought about sodas, because I do not drink soda. So that made it 17. And so now we're on number 6 of 17 things that I feel keeps me looking younger and feeling healthy. The sixth thing, get it together, is exfoliation. I exfoliate religiously. My skin, if you've never exfoliated your skin, let me tell you about your skin. It's a big cell. Your skin is the biggest cell of your body. So over time, every minute, really, it's going to get dry and accumulate all of these different particles and things, it's dead skin. And so you have to exfoliate that to reveal fresher skin. And so I exfoliate it at least once a week, and only because I'm so used to doing it. But when I first started exfoliating, it was over 10 years ago, and I did it starting out, I think it was 2 or 3 times a week, and I did that for like maybe 2 or 3 weeks. I'm guesstimating. It's been so long, which is okay if you're using a product that is friendly to your skin type, whether it's dry, oily, or normal. And I have oily skin, of course, but that has nothing to do with it. You need to remove these dead skin cells. When you remove dead skin cells, and I found this out, you are also helping your skin to somewhat stop bumps, because I would get bumps on my face, and I have oily skin, and you put both of those together, not taking care of your skin very well. A lot of people think that they get bumps, and you may, from different foods that you eat, but you also get bumps from dead skin that is on top of your fresh skin that's beneath, and it keeps your fresh skin from breathing. So you have to exfoliate, you guys, and get an exfoliant that goes with your skin type. Number 7 is do not touch your face in a harsh way. I don't touch my face if at all possible, especially during the summertime, because I have oily skin, and because I don't sweat, but I perspire, 2 different things. And so I don't want, with the oily skin and the dirt and on your hands, because your hands are like the dirtiest thing on your body. So I don't want the dirt on my hands, which I try to keep my hands very clean, but I don't want that dirt to mix in with the oil on my face and clog my pores. And this dirt can be transferred to your face, and like I said, it clogs your pores. So always keep a pre-soaped hand towel, not too much soap, with you to wash your face periodically throughout the day, especially if you work out in the weather, or if you have to go out in the weather, maybe for lunch or something, and you don't wear makeup or whatever. And definitely if you have oily skin like I do, I have extremely oily skin, make sure that the product that the pre-moist, pre-soaped hand towel is a soap that you use, whether it's something for your face that you use all the time, which I suggest, or a mouth soap. So that's number 7. Number 8 kind of goes with number 7. Speaking of washing your face, did you know that dirt accumulates and settles on our skin while we're asleep, and our pores open up as well? So while we're asleep. So this is why it's very critical to wash your face. I wash my face twice a day. So you should get in the habit of, if you want to follow my regimen, washing your face twice a day. And this really has nothing to do with my regimen. You should do this anyway, because it reveals, it removes dirt and unclogs the pores. And so what you need to do is wash your face once when you wake up, and right before bedtime, preferably in the shower, so that the water from the shower head can help clean your pores once you have applied your facial cleanser or mild soap for your skin type. So that is, I do that as well. Once in the morning, or once in the morning and once in the morning, because I usually don't go to bed until in the morning. So, before I go to bed, I do that. And especially if you wear any type of makeup. I don't care if it's light this and light that and mineral this and mineral that. Wash your face, okay? And don't wash it harshly, Sometimes it's best to go ahead and put wet the towel with warm water, not hot, but warm water, because really hot water can damage, your skin. So with warm, more colder but warm water, and put the cleanser on the towel, and that will sometimes or help exfoliate your skin as well. Or you can just apply it directly to your face. Number 9 is the overall diet. Many fruits and vegetables have natural fiber, which I mentioned before the break. That there are, or you can use flaxseed as well as fiber, which I use both of them to cleanse your body, and so that you can have a regular bowel movement, which removes toxins, and yada yada yada. And so you have to get in the habit. Now I love fruits and vegetables, don't get me wrong. I don't eat that many vegetables, and I don't eat that many fruits. I never have, because I only eat certain types. I like plums, I like grapes, it's just only about 5 fruits that I really like, and vegetables probably about the same. So, but you need to get in the habit of doing that, and I do eat them, but I'm not. I admit I'm not a vegetarian, okay? But I do eat it. But when I say overall diet, I'm talking about, as I mentioned earlier, when I eat something sweet, I have to have water. I have never ever been able to eat. Sometimes even a piece of gum, the bubble gum from back in the day that had all the sweetness in it. I never could just chew that and let all that sugar go down in my system. And I will be the first to say and believe, I've never heard this from a doctor, but this is just my common sense with my body. When you mix that sugar with water, the sugar content in whatever you're eating with water, it really helps prevent diabetes, I think, because you are diluting the sugar or mixing it with water, and so you're not getting the full blast of the sugar, that you would get if you did not drink water. So that's just my opinion, and I do not have diabetes, so and I don't drink soda, so maybe that has something. I may have it tomorrow, God forbid, but right now I don't. So that is, we are on number 9. We are going to take another break because I know you guys love the music as well, and I know you guys are enjoying this show, and I'm enjoying telling you what I do to keep myself, well, whatever, I don't know what you want to call it, to keep myself healthy, I guess is what you want to call it, and younger looking. And okay, before I go to break, I'm going to give you 2 more. Okay, pork or chicken. I don't eat pork and I don't eat chicken, and I have a story behind the pork and the chicken. Let's start with the pork. First the chicken. Let me start with the chicken. This is very personal. I would start on my period, and I kept wondering why I would get right back on my period after I got off of my period. Now, for the people in the pork or chicken industry, once again, these are my opinions, and especially with chicken, and I just I don't want to be in court like Oprah, so I'm going to say these are my opinions about chicken, and I've read up since then, and I've had experts agree with me as well as add some things to what I found out about chicken. But let me back up. For about 2 years, I did my own assessment on what I was eating, not writing down how much I ate of what I ate, but more so what I ate. I would write down every day. One day I may miss it, I may forget, but I tried to keep a tab on what I was eating every day, because I had bumps. I'm like, why am I getting bumps on my face? Why are they coming during a certain time? Then as I got older, I realized they were coming before my period. Then a couple of years passed by and they came during my period. I don't get them at all now, even before, during, or after my period. But I was getting them. I noticed I would get back on my menstruation or period right after I got off. And this started about 5, 6, 7 years ago. And I was like, well, about 6 years ago, and I said, why am I starting back on my period? I just got off my period. Well, I did a test. I said, I try to eat healthy, right? So, and I'm not a health freak, but I try to, keep abreast of what I'm eating. And so I said, okay, something I'm eating, it has to be. So I did test and not saying I'm going to eat this and see what happens. I'm eating my regular foods. I'm just writing down what I eat, what I had that day. And like I said, I may miss a day. It was no big deal. And I found out, you guys, when I broke down and said, it's got to be the chicken. The hormones in the chicken. So I was on my period, and this is when I really tested it, and I got off my period. It ended. And then I went and bought some chicken, and I ate it. And I ate it on purpose. I did this on purpose. Lo and behold, you guys, I swear I started back on my period. I don't even think it was, I'm going to say maybe 8 to 10 hours or 6 to 10 hours after eating the chicken. Okay, I want to make sure that my findings are right, so I did it again. I had a period again, and I did it again, and come to find out the chicken was making me start on my period again right after I got off of my period. It was also making me have bumps and all kinds of things, and so I don't eat chicken. And I have an article, if you guys are interested in the article about chicken. I posted it on the Facebook page on NT Witta, on the radio show page. Some of you may not have seen it or read it because Facebook has these little ways that they show certain people certain things. But if you are interested, I think it's still on the page, but you may have to scroll down and way far down to read it. It's an article, and it talks about chicken, and it only adds to what I found out. This is, it gets really deep, and it talks about how chicken can cause this and cause that. So chicken is out of my life. No, I don't even want to see a bird flying around me in a tree. I don't want to see nothing dealing with, chickens. So, and also pork. Story behind that is I used to be in a network marketing company called Tahitian Noni. Yay! I'm sure a lot of people know about Tahitian Noni. It's a wonderful health drink, and everybody was drinking it and buying it and in the business until the economy got really bad and people could not afford to buy the juice, and which is what kept the network marketers in business. And of course, Tahitian Noni is still in business, though, by the way, I have to say that. But while in Tahitian Noni, I attended a function that was given by not anyone in my upline or downline. Upline being anyone above you, and downline being anyone below you. It wasn't given by my upline or downline, but it was given by another group in Tahitian Noni, and we all, kind of got together for different events, regardless of who you were above or below. And I sat at the table. It was a dinner event, and I sat at the table with a gentleman, and we exchanged phone numbers. We're both in the business, and he was liking me, and we began calling each other, or he would call me or whatever. And it was, even though it was short-lived, I did find out just talking with him about pork. And I have 2 stories about that. And so he was telling me he was cooking some pork chops or something, and I told him, I said, I think I was still eating pork. As a matter of fact, I know, or I had just stopped eating pork or something at the time. With all this going on with me trying to check what foods do this and do this, I'm not quite for sure about that. But I do know he said that he witnessed himself a pig opening up a canned good and eating the contents out of it and actually eating the can. Now, if a pig will do that and he's eating all these metals and things, what are you eating? You know what I'm saying? If you're eating pork. So, and this is why we have metals and things in our body, and we're wondering, where did that come from? Where am I getting all this metal and stuff in my body? Well, you are what you eat. So if you're eating pork, and that's just my opinion. Not only that, I had a bump for a particular event, Tahitian Noni event. It could have been the same event, and I wanted to wear a backless dress, and I had a bump on my back, and I was like, okay. And I use vitamin E oil as well. That's another, that would make 18, but and vitamin E oil for removing spots and things you may have on your legs, even if they're 15 years old. If you have a black spot or something, maybe you fell about 15 years ago. Believe me, vitamin E oil, not the pills, but the oil will remove that eventually. And so I knew that I was going to this function. I knew that if I busted the bump or had it bust, that all I had to do was put the vitamin E oil on, and by the time of the event, my back would be smooth and there would be no marks. Well, I had my kids who were very reluctant to do this. I asked them to bust this bump on my back. I know this is sounding really gross, but hey, it is what it is. And my son did not want to do it. I made sure they washed their hands and showed them how to do it. And I leaned over it. I cut the Ventahood light on, the light that's over the stove. And I leaned over, the stove was not on, and so that they could have really good light. And my son was just out of it. He was like, I'm not doing it. So my daughter was like, started getting upset because I wanted it done, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't reach it. So my daughter said, come on, Mom, I'll do it. So she bust the bump. And she said, and we went over to the sink, and she said, oh, what is this? And I was like, I'm thinking it's just pus. I'm like, it's just pus or whatever. But when she had some on her finger, and when she brought it around to me to show to me, you guys, I swear, the smell from this bump, this stuff that came out, first of all, I'm just going to tell you, it was toxic. You smell the toxins. And mind you, I was drinking Tahitian noni juice, and I highly suggest you look up Tahitian noni, as in Tahiti, Tahitian noni juice. If you've never taken it, I know some of you guys have on here, and you're like, yeah, I know about Tahitian noni. And I'm not talking about phony noni that you can get, which is what we used to call it at your Sam's Club or something like that, or Walmart. No offense to them. I'm talking about Tahitian noni from Tahiti. Tahitian noni was the only company that had access to go over and pick the fruit in Tahiti, so go figure. So this was the real Tahitian noni, and it is the real Tahitian noni. And so it detoxifies your body. It literally does. And so that you lose weight. I didn't need to lose weight, but I'm just telling you that's what it does. And so going back to the bowel movement I was telling you about earlier. And so if you have worms, those worms are going to have to go somewhere where they're dead or not. It's going to try to exit your body. And so going back to what I said, and she brought this around to me, and it was on her finger, and I was like, oh my God. And it smelled it was brownish, like fecal matter. And that was all around it, but you can also see the worm. I had a worm in my back, you guys. And I said, this is a worm. And so she squeezed, I said, get the rest, is there any more? Basically, she got the rest of it out. And I put it in a plastic bag, and I called my mom, a little sandwich bag, and I called my mom. I was like, Mom, I have a worm in my back. I had a worm in my back. Oh, you didn't have a worm. I told her what had happened. And so she didn't live too far from me at the time. And so I came to the house and pulled it out of my purse, and I showed it to her, or just brought it in the house. I probably didn't even bring my bag in the house, but I showed it to her, and she was like, this is a worm. And so when people say back in the day that you have worms or you can get worms, you can get worms. And so where that worm came from, I hate to say it, this is my opinion, no offense to the pork industry, I think it came from pork. Because here's the second story about pork. One of the ladies that was under me at the time in Tahitian noni, I brought her into the business. We were talking like right after I talked to this gentleman and on the phone, and I was telling her what he said about pork, and she just sealed the deal for me. She was dating a guy back in the day. This lady is much older than I am, and she was dating a guy back in the day, and it was hot outside. She's from Texas as well. And it's hot outside, and she said it was about 90 something, 100 degrees, or hotter. And she said that he told her he said, I bet if I put this piece of meat on the porch, that when we come back, it's going to have worms. And she denounced it. She was like, no, it's not, whatever. And so he had to prove it to her, whatever. And as the story goes, he put it out on the porch. I don't know what he put it on, or if he just laid it on the porch, but either way, when they came back, guess what was coming out of the pork? You guessed it, worms. So you guys, I'm sorry, I don't want to bust anyone's bubble. I'm not trying to close down any industry. I just don't do pork or chicken. Those are my stories behind it. I don't do it, and I don't miss it, because in actuality, when it comes to pork, turkey, not roasted turkey, but turkey for me, pork is turkey, or turkey is pork for me, so I don't miss it. I used to be able to eat a pound of bacon by myself. and I would ball up my bread because I've never been able to eat a slice of bread, and and I, even with wheat bread, which is the only kind of bread I eat, I have to, if it's just a slice of bread and I'm eating it with something such as bacon. When I did eat bacon, I would have to ball it up and then bite it. I never could just take a slice of bread and eat it. I never could figure out how people did that, but it had to be a sandwich or something. I just couldn't take a slice of bread and bite it and eat it. But in the meantime, I don't do that anymore. And if I do eat bacon, it's turkey bacon. So how about that? So I do eat, let's see, seafood. I eat turkey and I eat beef. And those are the things that I eat. And I know people have things to say about beef, but I don't have any beef with beef. I am borderline anemic, on and off. And so as I mentioned earlier, if you have low iron, then you're going to be probably anemic or borderline anemic. And so one day I go and I'm okay, and the next day I may go, or the next week or something. If I'm just saying, I don't go into the doctor every week, but I'm saying the next year or whatever, if I go, I may be, when they check me, I may be actually borderline. So I go from being okay to being borderline. And so beef has iron in it, and forget all that, I love beef. So I do eat beef, and so don't post, well, beef is just as bad. I'm sure beef has its bad things, and I've heard about it, but hey, you got to die with something, and if I'm going to die, I'm going to die with the beef. I'm not dying with pork or chicken. Sorry. Okay, that was number 10. Number 11 are vitamins. You have to take a good supplemental vitamin that's going to give your body the daily recommended nutrients it needs, coupled along with the food we eat. Now, African American people that are listening to this, let's face it, we as a whole do not eat plenty of vegetables, and we do not eat plenty of fruits. We eat a lot of fatty foods. We eat a lot of chips and things that aren't healthy, and it's okay to eat those things, but not in excess. Those should be like snacks. It's with the word snack does not mean every day. And it does not mean, and if you do it every day, it does not mean take a whole big half of a bag or a bag. I myself can eat a snack every day. It's not what you're eating, it's how much of what you're eating. So, and I've always said that. So be careful with that. But in the meantime, a good supplemental vitamin is absolutely critical, especially in the African American community, because we do not get the nutrients that we're supposed to get, and we do not eat like we're supposed to eat. I think everyone should take them, but it's very critical in the African American communities. And so with that, you need to take a multivitamin, multimineral, or multivitamin every day. One a day, every day. And this goes for men as well. You can get them a lot of times, buy one bottle, get one free at the different drugstores in the area. Or you can go to the local Walmart and get their brand. I have used the Equate brand several times, and that's Walmart's brand. And with that, you guys have to realize that a lot of that stuff is private labeled. And what all that means is that the company or companies that make the original or make the brand name will also make the Shane brand, which is what I coined. An off brand is a Shane brand, so you're still getting the same things, and sometimes the Shane brand is better and has more nutrients or more of this than the name brand. So how about that? So anyway, you gotta get vitamins in your system. It's not a yes or no. It's not a iffy maybe. Get some. And with vitamins, let me give you a warning. A lot of people don't take vitamins because they say they've tried to take them and they make them nauseated. And the reason why you're nauseated is because you have low iron. And when you hit your body with a vitamin that has all of those nutrients and minerals, your body is like, whoa, these are not chips. This is not ice cream. What is going on? So you're going to get a little nauseous, and that's what's going to happen. But hey, keep taking your vitamin. Make sure you take it with a full glass of water. That will wear off after maybe 30 minutes or less. But here's the deal: to prevent it, make sure that you eat a meal before taking your vitamin. So eat your food, and then a healthy meal, like dinner or whatever. It doesn't matter when you take your vitamins, just take one a day. And then take your vitamin probably within 25 to 30 minutes after eating your food. This gives your food time to get in your system, to give you a feel of fullness, and then you can take your vitamin. You can also start out with half a vitamin for like 4 to 8 days, half, and then go to a full vitamin. That will also help to reduce the nauseating feeling you may get. But either way, do it. And I also suggest taking a handful of peanuts, anything like even pecans, peanuts, anything in the nut family. If you eat some of those, probably a handful of those before taking your vitamin until your body gets used to it, then that will also help as well. But if you do feel that, just know that it could be a good indication that you are either anemic or borderline anemic at that time. And that's why your body is doing that, and you need to take the vitamins with the iron so that you don't be anemic. Okay, how about that? So anyway, with that being said, Mrs. Chipmunk and I are going to go to another break, and we're going to play some sexy music. Some very sexy music, and all my music is sexy, so whether it's fast or slow. And we will be right back. Mrs. Chipmunk, you got to tell everybody we will be right back.
We'll be right back.
Thank you, dear. I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
Sunshine came into my life and made it brighter. She touched me with her warmness as the light shines from her smile. She makes me happy. I can never keep myself away, 'cause when I'm next to her, the warm rays reaching out from her love. She touched me with a smile that glows. I can't go a day without my sunshine. She holds me with her heart of gold. I can't go a day without my sunshine. Start to get me down, I call my sunshine. Because there's no other remedy strong enough for me. Just her. I can never keep myself away when I'm next to her. girl. Yes. Oh, she wants me with her heart of gold. Stay, girl. Oh, gonna treat you right. Oh, girl. All night, all night, all night. Sunshine. Oh, sunshine. Sugar girl, don't touch that phone, girl. Sunshine, sunshine. All I wanna say, girl, You know, sometimes sunshine turns to rain.
Now that's what I'm talking about.
Say you love me too, won't you? I promise to love you. Say you love me too, say baby, won't you? Promise to love you. It's so hard doing nothing alone without someone to call my own. If you say you'll stay with me, I'll provide all the things you need. Won't you, I promise to love you. Ooh, say you love me too. Won't you, I promise to love you. Love can hurt, I felt it before, but strange, I keep on coming back for more. Everything I want ain't always what I need, but what I need from you right now is to stay here with me. Say you love me too, won't you, baby? I promise to love you. Say you love me too, won't you? I promise to love you. my mind, I've got to find the reasons I feel the way I do. Let me emphasize that I recognize what I should and should not do. And though I know it's wrong, every now and then I phone just to talk to you. There's no rhyme in the reason, even when we try to be cool. In the strangest of times, there can be a connection. what you're looking for is real loving, then what you see is what you get. Ha! What you see is what you get. Is what you get. What you see is what you get. It's what you get. I said what you see is what you get, nothing. It's what you get. And real is the best thing yet. The best thing yet. You know, some people made lies to bring you down and shame your name. But baby, I have good intentions. Because breaking heart just ain't my game. All I want you to is love you. And sugar, I won't be with regret. No, no. If what you're looking for is real loving, then what you see is what you get. I got to say it again. What you see is what you get. It's what you get. Look at me. What you see is what you get. It's what you get. I mean, what you see is what you get, now, baby. It's what you get. And the real thing is the best thing yet. The best thing yet. What you see is what you get. I got a real love. You gotta get it. I got a real. You know what you see, baby, baby. It's what you get. It's what you get. Look at me now. What you see is what you get. It's what you get. To say it now. What you see is what you get. It's what you get. Every day now.
I love you most when we share a place of special good times together. It seems like our love can't get much better. No, no, no. 'Cause we were as close as two could be. New love could last forever. We're more than just lovers. We're good friends. And even if our love could drift away, I wouldn't even think twice if I wanted love back again. Because I still say yes to you again. My darling, for you I'd do it all again. Yes, I'd still say yes to you again. Darling, for you I'd do it over and over again. Say yes. Where does it go? How does it end? True love seems so easy. 'Cause we have no doubts where we belong. They say time can heal a broken heart, and true love never ends. So why not start where we
Welcome back to Now That's What I'm Talking About, also known as NT Witta. I'm KimMe, and I also have in the studio Mrs. Chipmunk, and we are speaking on healthy things or things that keep, for me, 17 things that I feel keeps me looking young, because I get compliments, as I mentioned before, all the time on how young I look. And so of course I came up with like 17. It started out as 16 when I was began doing during the show, and then I came up with soda, of course, which I don't drink, and it became 17. So I'm going to continue, but before I continue with number 12, I have to say, before the break, I was telling you guys how I don't eat pork or chicken, and that a guy had told me about how he witnessed a pig opening up a canned good with his mouth and eating the contents and the can. I forgot to tell you, he also told me back in the day when the KKK, for instance, this is just for instance, could have been the mob, it just could have been a drug deal gone bad, but they would kill someone. If they killed someone, or when they killed someone, in some cases they would put the body in the pig slop, and the pig or pigs would eat the body, thus getting rid of the evidence. And so that just added more into the reason why I do not eat pig. I'm like, oh God, no way. And it makes sense. If they eat anything, then they will eat, a human. So and I also have to say, with vitamins, I need to mention that, for those who get nauseated when taking vitamins for the first time, or you keep attempting to take them but you get nauseous and you've just left it alone, keep in mind that the nauseated feeling will leave within 3 to 10 days. Whether you're taking half of a pill or whatever, it's going to be gone. But I do suggest that you always take them with something, especially if you hadn't had anything to eat within the previous 16 to 24 hours, just so you don't get any type of nauseated feeling. Okay, let's go with number 12. No smoking. You guys, everyone that I know that smokes, and I don't hang around people that smoke, but everyone I know that has smoked in the past, smokers, I don't really hang around anyone, in my life right now, but I know of smokers, and everyone that I know that has smoked in the past at some point in time in their lives look at least minimum 10 years older than what they really, really, truly are. And not to put race in it, but for some reason smoking really takes a toll on Caucasians, as opposed to African Americans. Now the health, how it affects your health, it does it for both races, but for some reason smoking, I don't know what it is about smoking, when I compare a Caucasian person that smokes to an African American that smokes, and they've been smoking for around the same amount of time, they both look older, but for some reason smoking, for Caucasians, they look even 5 years more older than the African American. So I do not smoke. I don't want to be around smoke. I don't like the smell of it. I don't care if it's weed, whatever. I don't smoke. I don't want to be around anyone who smokes. I just do not do it. Number 13 is excessive drinking. Or if you're going to drink, drink sociably. In a year's time, I normally have less than 4 mixed drinks, and most times 2 are at or around the same time. Like I may have one and then I have another one. So I really probably drink twice a year, right behind each other, and those drinks. So, well, not right behind each other, but 2 around the same time, right behind each other. Now, I have to note, I said normally, because here lately, like margaritas, my guy friend and I will pick up like some margaritas and, a 6-pack of this or that, and drive to a location somewhere to talk and watch the sun go down. So romantic. And so it's very romantic, and so we'll do that and just talk, and enjoy each other's company. So and that has been here lately, but I still do not drink excessively, and so that also will make you, those 2 things, smoking and drinking, number 12 and 13, will make you look older than you do, 10 to 15 years older. And I have to say, I've never done smoking. I've never smoked, and I drink sociably, and coupled along with water intake, and I think I'm trying to remember what the first thing was I said, coupled along with no stress. I would have to say they would be in the top 4. These are in no particular order, but those 4 things would be in the top 4 if I had to put them in any order. If someone were to ask me what would be the top 5, things that I do or don't do that keeps me looking younger. Number 14 would be I do not wear fake fingernails nor fingernail polish. You guys, these are chemicals, and although safe for human use over time, over the years they've gotten better and better, they may have an effect on your body. Who knows? I just do not wear fake fingernails. I remember I went into a shopping center to pay a location at a shopping center to pay my electric bill, and next door was a fingernail place, a nail salon. And I'm telling you guys, you could literally smell the chemicals from the nail salon coming through the walls of the pay location where I was paying my electric bill. And I said, wow. I said, is that coming from next door? And there was a guy, they had a bench in this place, and there was a guy sitting at the bench, and he obviously comes in the place all the time, or came in. I haven't been there in a while. And he says, I have gotten on them so many times about that. I come in here all the time, and and that smell. And he said the same thing I said. If you're smelling that through walls, imagine what effect it's having on your body. I'm sorry. So for ladies, even cooking, I don't even want to cook, so I just don't do the fingernail polish or the fake fingernails. And as far as fingernail polish, I may once every 2 years, I'm telling you, put some clear on my toes. But as I mentioned earlier, I use vitamin E oil, and a lot of people, vitamin E oil is really thick. And like I said, it helps, even though it's not one of the 17, it should be number 18 or in the spot. But it helps you to get rid of spots like dark, around your knees. If you have dark knees or elbows or whatever, it really will bring your skin back to the state it was when you were born. I'm serious. And so sometimes when I have it, I haven't had any in a while. But when I do have it, and I am going to go buy some real soon, I've run out. I put it on my feet, and my feet are really gorgeous and even colored, and also you're putting it on your toes. So people think, matter of fact, my ex-co-host thought that I had on clear fingernail polish on my feet, but I told her no, it's vitamin E oil, and so it really makes your body smooth. Well, not smooth, but it evens out your skin tone and removes like any spots on your body that does not belong there, like maybe from a scar or something that happened when you were a kid or something like that. It'll bring it back to the state that it's supposed to be. And so for my toes, my toenails, it makes them glisten and makes them look like I do have on fingernail polish, but I don't. But if I were to wear fingernail polish, it would be clear, and I probably would put it on and have put it on once every 2 years. But that's sometimes when I would run out of vitamin E oil, killing two birds with one stone. Okay, so it makes it shiny, and it makes my feet look absolutely gorgeous. 15, mental health. Oh my God. You guys know me. I am a mental health freak. I am going to write stuff. I'm going to listen to music. I'm going to post things. Keep your brain continuously functioning and working. Do things to keep your brain functioning and continuously working. Do things yourself, instead of having someone else do it, and write this and write that. And even if it's Facebook, get on there and post something, share something, instead of just being a couch potato and not using your brain. Because I'm going to tell you, I don't care if you do any of these other 16 things, 18 with the vitamin E oil. If you don't have a good mental health, what's the purpose? If your mental health is gone, then what's the purpose? And I use my brain as much as I possibly can. I think I talk in my sleep. So but I haven't had anyone tell me that, but I'd be willing to bet that, on occasion I would probably talk in my sleep. So that's number 15. Number 16, I do not watch TV. I do not watch TV. And you better believe, if I do see TV, I'm out in public, eating somewhere or whatever, somewhere in public, or I'm at someone's house. I do not watch TV. I listen to the radio, whether gospel stations or the BBC, which I get a lot of my news. And what I like about the British Broadcasting Corporation is they have no vested interest in the U.S. So they're going to tell the news how it is, what it is. And so instead of, sugarcoating it or not telling the full story because they may be Republican or Democrat, so they're going to tell it like it really is, because they're Britain, it's the British network and on the NPR. And so I listen to both, and both of those are on the same station. I listen to both of those, and I get all of the news that you guys may not get. And so I share some of that news on my on the radio show Facebook page, which is facebook.com/NTWITA Talk Radio all together. Let me say that. And so go on that page and like the page if you are very much interested in finding out what I do and keep up with me and recipes and all that good stuff and astrological sun signs and just a bunch of everything, and as well as shows such as this. The 17th thing that I do, and lastly, maybe 18 if you add in the vitamin E oil, is laughter. You guys, I love to laugh. It's natural. My former best friend and I, and gosh, I'm speechless. We used to soup it up. You hear me? We we just laughed, and ironically, she looks just as young as I do. We both look very young, and for our age. And I haven't seen her in a long time, but in some years rather. But she and I both look young. So I would have to say laughter. I'm not saying purposely go out and say I'm gonna go and to a comedy show, but just your overall well-being. Be happy, if at all possible. And I'm not saying go all out, do anything, spectacular or whatever. But, if you stay out of people's business, then you're probably going to be happy anyway, if you don't have anything to worry about. So, and that was number one, the stress. So if you want to know exactly what products I use, you can send me an email to NTWitta, that's the acronyms for the show. Now that's what I'm talking about, at outlook.com. That's OUTLOOK, NTWITA at outlook.com. And I will share with you, it's like as far as exfoliation, and I said always keep, if at all possible, a soapy towel with you. I can share with you products that I use. I'm not going to promote these products here because I'm not getting paid to do that, and so I would in the past, but I'm getting away from that. And so if you want to know that, just hit me up via email and I will tell you what those products are. And also Mrs. Chipmunk is going to come up next with her healthy secrets. I don't know what she wants to call them or whatever, but she says that she has some regimens that she would like to share with you guys on what she does to stay healthy and sexy looking, or whatever. So Mrs. Chipmunk, are you ready to share with the world your healthy secrets or beauty secrets right now?
I'm ready, Kimmy.
Okay, great. How many do you have?
I only have 3.
Only 3? Okay, go for it.
Okay, here are my 3 beauty secrets. 1, at the end of July, I start to fatten up for the winter. I put seeds and nuts in my burrows so I'll have enough for winter. 2, during this time, I eat. Then I go back to sleep for days, weeks, or more to get my beauty rest so that I can attract a handsome chipmunk for February through April mating season. 3, I have a personal furrier come out to my home and clean my fur.
Mrs. Chipmunk, did you say number 3 was you have a personal furrier come out to your home and clean your fur? A personal furrier. I'm sorry, Mrs. Chipmunk. It just dawned on me. Your beauty secrets, well, they're of no use to the NTWitta family because they are human and you're, well, a chipmunk. I am so sorry.
Kimmy, you knew I was a chipmunk before you asked me to give my beauty secrets. Why did you have me wasting my time if you knew I am a chipmunk who is that?
Mrs. Chipmunk, I am so sorry. I said I'm sorry. I was just trying to include you in the show some kind of way, and it's just not feasible material for the audience. Do you forgive me?
That's a damn shame.
Hey now, all I can do is apologize. I mean, that's all I can do. And if you can't accept that, then hey, you can bounce. Because, like, I'm not about to get stressed out, the number one thing on my list of beauty secrets, because you refuse to accept my apology. Not happening. Mrs. Chipmunk. Mrs. Chipmunk.
You go to hell in gasoline drawers.
Anywho, no stress, no stress, no stress. And I stress, no stress.
Gone with all that.
Thank you, everyone, for listening to the show. And once again, if you want information on what products I use for my beauty and health secrets, hit me up via email. And that email is NTWITA, the acronyms for the show, @outlook.com.